you see the way we appeared?
Like magic.
It's magic. It's, we talked about Disney. It's a little Tinkerbell dust.
We don't talk about Disney anymore, I think.
No, not even Tinkerbell dust.
Yeah.
Any rate, when we left, we're here with Thayer Verschure, candidate for the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in District
2.
District 2, and that was the one Chukri had, I believe.
Yeah, so District 2 is large. It takes in all of East Mesa, east of Country Club, all the way down to Germain. It takes in the northern part, north of Elliott, in Gilbert, and then it goes all the way up to Cave Creek. It takes in Scottsdale, east of Scottsdale Road, and then, like I said, it goes all the way up to Cave Creek.
I think west is Bill Gates district.
Yes, up there, and then south is Jack Seller's district.
Yeah, that's who I thought you might be running against, is Seller. We have some beautiful pictures of Jack Seller with the CCP. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Did you ever see those pictures?
No, I haven't seen those pictures.
Yeah, he was in China with the number 2 Chinese guy.
Oh my gosh!
Nice picture. We had that on the screen night after night after night.
Yeah. So to be clear, this election is not considered a special election because it's being held during the regular election, but
we do have a special election coming up for the county attorney.
Well, no, they're both the same. So we'll be elected. So we'll be elected in 22 to fill the vacancy, and then have to run again in 24 when everybody else runs.
So at any rate, one of the things, ladies and gentlemen, with the county attorney, some of you from other parts of the country might know them as district attorneys, but here we call it the county attorney.
Yes.
And for the most part, it has been in Republican hands for many years, and in some good hands. We had Bill Montgomery for many years was and then Alistair Adele, and she has had some health issues, and there's been under her tenure here, there's been a number of issues that came out. Now, as we were talking there, I find it rather strange that the county attorney is the attorney for all of the elected officials within the county.
Yes.
And at the same time, they're the people's attorney, and they are prosecuting crimes against the people of Maricopa County.
Yes.
So I find that somewhat of a troubling responsibility. The reason I say that more specifically is they were doing things with the Board of Supervisors and supporting them against the best issues and best interests, I believe, of the citizens of Maricopa County.
It would appear to me, and it seemed to me, that they were absolutely on the opposite side of the voters in Maricopa County, and especially the voters in my district. And so, and so I've talked. So, to me, it's like if you have to represent the people. You're getting elected by the people. Now there will be an appointment for a few months here, and but that appointment is going to be short-lived, and it's just going to be a caretaker position. Then there'll be an election, but they need to answer to the people what type of policies they're going to support, as
Yes.
the county attorney. And the county attorney, and I don't buy this. I can't comment on this because, I don't have. You're not being appointed to Superior Court or even. So you can talk about things. I mean, Rick Romley was very aggressive in a lot of the things he did as the county attorney, and Andy Thomas was very aggressive. So I mean, they have a lot of power. They don't just have to represent or just do what the board tells them to do. That's why they are elected, so that they can do what the people who vote them in want them to do.
And what happened here, and I'll just make this comment, you don't have to because of your acquaintances, so I'll just mention it. The attorney for the Board of Supervisors was a guy named Tom Liddy. You might remember the last name of Liddy. His father was G. Gordon Liddy. He was one of the plumbers in the Nixon break-in of the Democrat National Committee. I'll just kind of leave it there, but I found that rather strange too. That the father of the attorney spent I don't know how many years in prison over his break-in of the Democrat National Committee. He was the attorney for the Board of Supervisors. So those of you that believe in conspiracies and so forth, just a little fuel to add to the fire. So, any rate, we're going to. Alistair Adele just recently resigned, and we were to have somebody on the show Monday night that did not show. And you have graciously, I think, presented, and if you don't mind, if you could go over this. Thayer is a deep thinker, and when did I say stinker or thinker? So anyway,
Yes.
Questions that need to be asked of the candidates that are running for Maricopa County attorney. Now, you might know the Democrats really want to take this over, and this is a George Soros plan, is to take over all of the legal dealings within the counties in America. So you can look for the Democrats to really come out swinging to try to take this seat. But here's some questions that Thayer has, and if you don't mind, Thayer, if you could just kind of, and these are really important questions that you as a listening audience need to be asking these candidates.
Well, so it was interesting timing. I was at a meeting in Mesa, talking to some constituents, and one of the questions came to me is like, what would you do? How do you plan on implementing any meaningful change when you're only one of 5 votes on the Board of Supervisors? And it was very hard. Again, I said, with your help and God's help, we can prevail, but it's going to be difficult and it's going to take a lot of work. And then Alistair resigned, and it occurred to me, having watched the county attorney's office over the years, that electing the right county attorney, even though I would be on my own on the Board of Supervisors, having a county attorney who was representing the people and their will could go a long ways into fixing the parts of the election that are not working well, whether it's the machines, whether it's the drop boxes, whether it's the mail-in ballots, whether it's the chain of custody, whether it's enforcing ballot harvest. So, I saw an email come out from the Maricopa County Republican Party saying, "Here's 3 people who have asked to get their, in
Short time that they had them is ridiculous.
14 days," which bears another question. Why did she resign now when you had hardly any chance to vet anybody who wanted to run for for that position? So,
and Thayer, and let me interrupt here. If she had waited, I don't know what the date was, the 4th or the 15th of April, which is just 4th. A few days away, the 4th, just a few days away, then the governor gets to appoint someone. And according to Arizona law, the political party in power that vacated that is the one which you have to appoint somebody from.
Correct.
So, in other words, in this case, Alistair Adele being a Republican,
right,
a Republican would have been appointed.
Right.
Now, because of this little technicality, and I've heard some rumor, and I'll tell you what the rumor is just a moment, it's going to go up to a general vote. Now, the rumor is that the Bar Association put pressure on her, saying they were going to try to rescind her legal law license if she didn't resign immediately.
Well, there's a group that is very anti, so anyway, I'm not a big fan of the Bar Association. They've seen them intimidate too many good attorneys who care about what the people believe in.
Andy Thomas was
absolutely
beat up by them.
And so I think there's a lot of intimidation going on for attorneys who want to defend President Trump, even. So there you go. But so anyhow, what occurred to me is they had these 3 candidates listed on this email, and not a one of their comments went to the things that voters care about in this election, which is election integrity, which is about what are we going to do about CRT and critical race theory, are the number of different names it goes by in our schools, and recently in Frosty Taylor's has the Republican briefs, the county attorney's annual report had come out, and one of the things that was touted by was that she created this diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, and brought a person on there. Well, this is the same type of diversity, equity, and inclusion that we're hearing from these tapes from Disney all day today. That is basically the same thing as CRT in our schools. It's at the county. And so I thought, you know what? They need to stand up and they need to tell us, where are they on these issues, parental choice in education? Where are they on critical race theory, on enforcing ballot harvesting laws? If you would just enforce the laws that were on the books, that would fix a lot of these things. I mean,
That's an interesting comment. A lot of these things have been thought out by the legislature in the past.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, some of the laws they're asking just kind of a rehash of stuff that's on the. I mean, so just enforce the laws that we have on there for ballot harvesting, and would say that you got to get rid of these ballot drop boxes, because this is a prime place where people can take in carfuls of ballots and just drop them in these unsecured drop boxes. And so, and then I wanted to get what their opinion was. They should have to answer their opinion of the 2020 election. What do they think? It was broken? Do they think anything needs to be fixed? Because I think, I'd tell you right now, most Republicans, maybe 70-80% of Republicans out there think that those things, there are things that need to be fixed. And as you mentioned earlier, there were things that were out with.
Well, I'm beginning to see numbers now on a national basis that a majority of people now believe there was some uncertainty in the handling of the 2020 election.
Right, absolutely.
And this is going to get, when this Hunter Biden laptop comes across, I believe we're going to have buyer's remorse. Right now, I think
we have buyer's, the inflation and the price of gas going on already.
And I have a report here that I just wanted, but just because we're going to go over, I think, here with some of the things you're saying. But it looks as though the average American can anticipate spending about $433 more per month. Okay, now if you annualize that, that's about $5,000 more for your food and your and other expenses that you're going to have because of the Biden effect and the things that he's done. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, if you study economics and so forth, you'll see that almost everything that the Biden correct. The election were held now, Trump would win by 5 or 6 points.
It'd be a landslide.
And if they jettisoned
and at 5 or 6 points, you could probably actually, if the polls were really truly accurate, there's probably another 5 or 6 points that are just
oh yeah
suppressed.
And then of course Kamala, oh my gosh, Kamala, however, anyway, the numbers there are, Trump would beat her by 11%.
Yes.
And let's look at the trinity here. You've got Biden as the president, Vice President Kamala Harris, and who's next in line? The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. This is the unholy trinity of American politics.
And their policies have proven disastrous for our economy from the first get-go, shutting down the pipeline, which would have more than supplied the world with enough fuel to really have meaningful sanctions on Russia.
Well, right now, when they say, well, we're not going to buy Russian oil. Okay, fine. There's a market for it because supply and demand.
Right.
If we put more oil on the market, it would go up, which means the price would go down, and Russia would, they already say that the ruble is ruined. And it's going to just, gentlemen, Russian people aren't bad. Neither are Ukrainian people. There could be really nasty things going on in their government.
But I think we have to talk about what's going on here in the county because people are having to work extra hard now, or are not being able to work. I mean, there's people already who have to cut back on their work because of how much it costs just to get to work.
Exactly.
you know? So, I mean, even though, even and this is what we've always talked about, you want to raise minimum wage, and you're going to cause inflation, and whatever you raise the minimum wage to is going to be worth no more than what you already had in place because of inflation, and we're seeing those effects come to bear right now with prices, with higher gas prices.
And then what he came up with yesterday is this 20% tax on the billionaires. Ladies and gentlemen, billionaires, corporations, they don't pay taxes, they just pass it on to you.
Know, another thing I want to touch on briefly before we start talking a little bit more about the election stuff is the crime. So, you know, all of these candidates who are running for the board talk about supporting the police, which I certainly do, and I always have. And law enforcement always played a big role. And you know, and I'm a big fan, and Sheriff Joe Arpaio's endorsed me because, you know, he took matters into his own hand when they would not enforce the immigration laws.
Yes, he did.
He stepped up and he said, I swore an oath to obey the land and to execute the law of the land. Change, I will execute it. So right now, Maricopa County has a D- rating as far as crime goes in in the
I didn't know that.
yeah, and there was another recent the 9th worst city in the United States, worse than Chicago. Folks, we need to get a handle on what's going on here, and a lot of those things are because of not enforcing immigration law. Other question: want to enforce immigration law, you know, and what are you going to do? And of course, so those are some of the people should be asking these folks who are going to be running for county attorney and getting some straight answers and not just kind of some lawyerese avoidance question about, you know, I can't answer that question because I'm not a biologist. You know what? You have an opinion and you're asking and the trust of the people. You should need to share it. You're not a judge. You're not going to judgment, but you're going to be accountable to the policies that the county puts forward going forward and the advice you give the board.
Okay, let's get back to your race. The reason we wanted to go to the county attorney is because the county attorney represents the board of supervisors.
Right.
And you will have to work closely with whoever it is. And that's why you wrote these questions. We're going to be posting over and over and over because they're really excellent questions that the public needs to know. And I'm afraid so many of these politicians don't want you to know what they think.
No, they avoid and divert.
So let's see what Thayer thinks. He's got this wonderful plan that I've looked at today, and I'm really impressed.
So one of the reasons I want to run is because I think the voters have lost trust in in our elections, and we need to restore that trust. And so I've come up with a plan to restore trust in our elections, and it's kind of interesting because if you look at it, it's kind of a bit of a word play here where it's called restore. Restore. So restore, the R stands for rigorously that we need to enforce state law against ballot harvesting. That would go a long ways to making sure and clean and fair.
And we do know that there
Yes.
has been ballot harvesting. We reported the other night, and I told you specifically, ladies and gentlemen, that we uncovered harvesting going on right up the street a mile from this very studio. And
so rigorous means to be very aggressive and very assertive in enforcing the state law. And the county attorney, as well as the sheriff, which I don't have a lot of hope for, but a attorney who has investigative powers, who has detectives, could play a very major part in being very aggressive in enforcing the ballot harvesting law that exists in the books. E is for eliminating unsecured and unsupervised ballot drop boxes, because that's where a lot of this ballot harvesting is in place at. And the S is to sign in requirements for drop off of ballots in precincts. So when you come in and vote, you have to sign. You have to sign. You have to show ID. When you come in and drop a
ballot, you should have to sign and show ID also that you
Yes.
that you dropped that off.
And you don't.
And you
have to
don't.
now.
You don't have to. You can just walk in and you can drop it in the box. And there's laws about who can walk in with what ballot and drop it off. You should. So if you're carrying in someone else's ballot, you should not only sign for yourself, but you should sign for who you're dropping off, so people can go back and audit that. Folks, it's just accountability. And every banks have auditing. Major corporations, auditing is an important part of accountability and transparency.
Even the federal government is a GAS,
Absolutely.
general auditing.
So the T stands for tally of votes. Tally of vote results should be completed within 24 hours. And folks, a lot of these are not Fillmore and Kelly Townsend are running a bill in the legislature right now, one day, one vote. And some of these are some of the measures that are in that. They're great measures. And I plan on working very closely with our legislators. I served, as Ron talked about, 8 years in the Arizona State Senate. I have a good relationship with most of the members of the legislature, a lot of the members of the legislature, and a lot of them have endorsed me because of that relationship. But those should be tallied within 24 hours, and you can do that. We used to do that.
Yes.
And we absolutely used to do that, and we used to do it without machines.
I remember waking up in the morning and knew who won the election.
Right.
In the last several elections, I didn't know for 2 weeks who won.
Then O stands for only mail-in ballots for health and absence reasons. So we need to bring down what ballots are allowed to be mail-in. We shouldn't have more ballots going out than what people are registered to vote, and you shouldn't have more ballots coming back in than what went out. So there's a problem there. Even former Attorney General Barr said that mail-in balloting is fraught with opportunities to fraud. Then the next R stands for require voting in the precincts you are registered in. Folks, we should vote where the people who are working the polls know us. And that's a lot of fraudulent activities. When you're walking into the polling place, it means shorter lines. It means easier access to the polls. It means people have to go as far to vote, and you can walk in and so we should be expanding the number. We should be expanding voting polls to all. I think that's out there, unless they're really super small.
One of the years ago, and we had emergency voting. What in the world is emergency voting?
There's again shows you the authority that the county has. The county board of supervisors could have stopped those measures, and it could actually recognize what Fontes was doing, and they removed him, but they didn't remove the personnel that were in place there, and they didn't do anything to step up and change the policy. Again, it goes back to the definition. If you're going to same thing, if you're going to elect the same type of people, and I always talk about this when I'm out talking about the problem with the bureaucracy, is that we elect new elected officials, but we keep the same bureaucracy in place, the same managers, the same administrators in place, and nothing ever. And we don't understand why. Well, it's workers are that's out there.
And Thayer, when they did have, and what year it was, might be 2018, they had these emergency.
Right.
4 of them were in very heavily Democrat districts.
I think even the Federal Election Commission, there was a large imbalance of the number of these ballots in Democrat-heavy areas versus Republican. So that was a problem, and that was a recognized problem. Still hasn't been addressed.
Montez is running for Secretary of State.
Oh,
And guess what? The Secretary of State, the overall, for the whole state, they're the voter.
state has to follow the law that are passed by.
When did that ever? Never mind. I won't go there. We don't have enough time to
Well,
talk about that.
One of the important things, and that's ensuring a robust signature verification and voter ID system. Have the opportunity to vote on that. So I think we need to really, so those are the areas I want to focus on and there's other areas, whether it comes to supporting our vets, it comes to, reducing, making our streets safe. A lot of people don't feel safe going into downtown Phoenix, and with the crime.
Well, the police they're probably 600 or 700 cops short.
Even the police are feel a little unsafe going. I mean, we're hearing about police officers getting shot all the of the policies and the weak enforcement and of prosecution of criminals.
Well, once again, what's your word?
So that's
restore.
So I want to restore electoral
and
trust.
And how can the public get a hold of you?
So my name is Thayer Vashore. Email is Thayer for you. I will be Thayer for you. So little wordplay there.
Y-O-U?
Y-O-U.
Y-O-U.
Thayer for you, and spelled out Thayer, O-R-U.
You might want to spell Thayer.
Yeah,
I know how to do it.
T-H-A-Y-E-R. Should have a big screenshot, right? Thayer for you. That's my email address at gmail.com. And then, of course, my website, if you want to help or contribute and still go online, even though there's been all kinds of hinky things going on with the e-qualify system, to go online and sign my petition. We have enough signatures, and we'll be filing that. But more signatures, I think we could get 1,000, even though just a little over 1,000 is the minimum. So if you want to go to my website, it's for sure for supervisor. And my last name's even more fun to spell than my good Dutch name, E-R-S-C-A-R, but for supervisor.com. And go my Restoring the Electoral Trust is on that site, as well as more information about myself and the things that I've done. And I really ask for your vote, and thank you for the show and talk about this.
It's always give Thayer a good look. He's a good man. He's served us well, both in the military division and the state of Arizona and national. You've done it all.
So I've had that, and because of that experience, I mean, I've got some supporting and endorsement. Biggs has endorsed my Sheriff Joe Arpaio has endorsed me. Mark Fincham, who's one of the leaders on election reform, he's running for Secretary of State. And Joe's running for Mayor Fountain Hills.
I saw him the other day.
They have.
Gosh, aren't going to give up as soon as I'm breathing. I'm not.
He is a fighter.
He is,
and I admire him for that. And so, but John Kavanaugh, Darren Mitchell, Travis, Warren Peterson, Kelly Townsend, John Phil. It goes on. My old boss Tom Moore is supporting me. Ken Bennett and Ken Bennett and is also endorsing me, and Tim B, who I served with as the majority leader, president of the Senate at the time. He's on board. Frank's a good friend. Is also
from Frank, a long time.
So
anyway, give Thayer Vashore a good look. See, he's a good man and experience, and
well, and I will tell you, prayer and be important in restoring trust in our elections. And
yes, and we're just about out of time. So Thayer, I appreciate you coming here. And Doris, thank you for running this boat tonight. And push some buttons and it's out. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to Fighting Back. News Talk. Current events.
District 20, and when I'm out fighting the woke culture in Arizona, I like to listen to the truth, I like to listen to the real scoop, and therefore, Top Radio Phoenix, and you should too.
You have a great business, terrific products, outstanding services. Where is everybody? It's simple. They don't know you're here. Why not? We didn't tell them. Well, let me introduce you to the Media Maven. She is the expert in getting your advertising message to the right people, the right places, for the right prices. She can make your business a household name. She can make this claim because she's been doing this for years for large and small businesses. You need an expert who knows who to talk to and how to make the best deal for your business. She has the right radio and television contacts for your budget, whatever it is. That's Kathy, Media Maven. She can put you on the map, the one that leads to success. Call Kathy, Media Maven at 602-524-0947. That's Kathy, the Media Maven at 602-524-0947.